Okay, so this week we're discussing the latest Ant-Man,
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man, the latest Ant-Man, Quantumania, which is basically Ant-Man. Well, it's technically the full title is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Even though, the second person in that title is like barely in the movie, but anyway, I digress. Just to give a quick run through of the story. So we basically join, the team being obviously Scott Lang. You've got, is it Hope Van Dyne and Janet Van Dyne?
Yeah.
I get the two mixed up. Okay. And then we also have the original Ant-Man. Someone help me out here. It was
Hank Pym.
Hank Pym, that's it, exactly, Hank Pym. And then they're also joined by Scott
Cassie Lang.
Cassie Lang, that's right. So basically, I think at this point in time, Scott, he's like really popular right now. I say really popular. He's just kind of he's getting a lot of appreciation. He's basically like a celebrity. Obviously, people recognize him wherever he goes, and he's just brought out his latest book. So that's pretty much like the stat quo right now. What's her face? Cassie Lang. So she this whole time, whilst obviously Scott was blipped. Was he blipped? No, he was trapped.
Yeah. He was in the quantum realm.
Yeah, he was trapped. He was trapped in the quantum realm. So this whole time, his daughter has basically been studying the quantum verse. Is it the quantum verse?
Quantum realm.
The quantum realm, basically trying to figure out like how to get him out, or like how to prevent this whole situation happening again, where he gets trapped in there. So she's basically been meddling with it, and she's become this sort of super genius within that time, and she's able to build some sort of contraption that's able to send a signal into the quantum realm. So this is kind of what gets the story going, because unfortunately they get sucked in, and they basically find themselves all in the quantum realm, and pretty much hijinks from there ensues.
Hijinks.
A lot of hijinks. So yeah, man, that's when that's when the basically the story begins at that point. I think that's like the actual beginning, because the time we spend in the real world, it's only about like 5 or 10 minutes. It's not really that much. So most of the movie takes place in the quantum realm, and so that's like where we kind of follow the characters and follow them through the story, and ultimately to the big bad of, well, who's supposed to be the new big bad of the MCU, Kang the Conqueror. We've already met one of his variants, that's it, is in the Loki series. So this is supposed to be his official introduction into the movie MCU universe. So yeah, I mean, thoughts on how they handled this movie? Do you reckon it lived up to the hype?
It was hype.
Well, I mean, when I say hype, I mean like the marketing.
Anticipation is probably the word.
Anticipation,
Exactly. Anticipation rather than hype, because there wasn't much hype for this movie, but the anticipation is that we were going to be introduced to the big bad of that the Avenger level threat that will be faced. That was the assumption that a lot of fans made, and this movie was the vehicle to introduce him and to show us why he is the big bad, why he's so scary, blah blah blah.
I'd like to think that we could all agree that this vehicle
broke down, bro. It's waiting for AA, bro. It's waiting for AA.
That's putting it lightly.
Settings, bro.
That is putting it lightly, bro.
He had a good introduction. His introduction was good, but he didn't have much impact.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
I
just want to say straight, Jonathan Mayer's acting and his facial expressions. I think I discussed this with you before. When he's first introduced, I thought his presence on screen was very powerful. I definitely got that sense of I don't really know what to expect from him. I do get a sense there's something fearful about this character. But yeah, I think it was just a disappointment that was short-lived and didn't last the entire movie.
Like I said, his introduction, he was introduced well.
You see him, you're not quite sure what his deal is. You know he's supposed to be some bad guy. Everyone in the quantum realm seems to be scared of him. But that is it. He doesn't have any oomph. Like, we haven't seen why people are scared of him.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously, as an actor, like, he does a superb job. I feel, as you were saying, Ruben, his his inflictions, his expressions, just his demeanor, his whole demeanor in general is like excellent. Like, from when you first meet him, he's very calm. Like, he has like an air of like respect, even before they kind of build him up as this big bad.
He strikes you as an intellectual, right?
What's that?
He strikes you as an intellectual.
Yeah, exactly. You strike him as someone who is very knowledge, and someone who has been planning something. You don't know what to expect, but you know to expect something. And then there's obviously those times where he just kind of loses his cool, and he has these outbursts, and you're just like, whoa. He just basically goes from 0 to 100. His acting range is good.
Yeah, I think I just have to agree with Cam. Like, you're told that Lee has taken over the kind of quantum realm, or like that part of the quantum realm. Like, he has basically taken it over and whatnot. There's a war going on between like kind of him and kind of what resistances that are down there. And he's basically more or less decimated them. So you're thinking like, man, like, shit, like, he's just gone down there and just messed everyone up. But yeah, after you see him on screen and how he interacts with obviously man, and it just kind of seems a bit. I'm not sure if they were fighting a different Kang. I mean, like, kind of thing, because the one we saw definitely wasn't that ruthless, scary killer which we were led to believe we were going to see.
Yeah, and I would just say that in terms of we're talking about this movie as the vehicle to introduce Kang, I think that this fundamentally is the problem with the movie, is that this is the wrong vehicle. Ant-Man as a movie is not meant to be taken that seriously. Ant-Man 1 wasn't taken that seriously. Ant-Man 2, they're just little fun little side quests that were like, just little side quests that were tangential to what the overall plot of the Avengers was really. They're just to introduce a character that is going to be used as a bit part in Endgame eventually. Whereas this movie is basically the driving force as to where we're introduced to Kang, which is meant to be an extremely serious threat. But Ant-Man isn't meant to be a serious movie. Like, none of the others, we don't take the Ant-Man movie seriously. It's not like Avengers or some of the Captain America movies and stuff like that. So I think that contradiction in tone is another big part of the problem, because it doesn't take things, because it doesn't take itself that seriously, because Ant-Man movies shouldn't. How can we take this Avengers level threat seriously?
I mean, we were introduced to not this.
So Ruben, I've lost you.
Ruben, you cut out completely.
Yeah, you.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I mean, I was saying we were introduced to Kang in the Loki series, but I would like to see how
a different variant of Kang, not
a different variant of Kang, but yeah. But what I'm saying is, I would like to see next movie brings Kang back into it. How much relevance this Ant-Man movie has to influence those later movies, because I kind of get the feeling like maybe this might even be a film you can skip in like the long line of Marvel movies. Like, there's not that much that happened that might be relevant influence what's going to happen, besides just knowing that this guy exists.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so if we go back to what Law was saying about how this was definitely the wrong movie to kind of put Kang in. So what happened was, unfortunately, is that because they tried to make, because obviously, as you said, it's more of a comedic kind of franchise, sequels, Ant-Man and stuff. So like, they tried to make this more serious, but at the same time, with the comedy bits with it, it made Kang less impactful. So not only did they bring down Kang, but they brought down the Ant-Man franchise as well, because it was less funny, and Kang was just less impactful. So it's just like, there was no pros to it. It was just all cons. So it was just a huge mistake to put Kang in this bloody film, man.
I mean, I was honestly hoping in an Ant-Man movie I get to see T.I. and his story friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was missing. I think that was a big loss, actually.
Having
them. I can't remember what they were called, but his basically
his friends.
Friends. Well, that's the thing. In the movie, there's no way to put them in this movie. Really,
no, there isn't.
She would be shoehorning them in, and that is a problem. Like you were saying, Sub, is that they were trying to have a balance of the Ant-Man comedy with the seriousness of the Avenger level threat, and they, in trying to do both, they've done neither, and because of that, they've potentially had done irreparable damage to their Avenger level threat enemy, because I don't care. This was the movie, I think, for a lot of people, was to reinvigorate interest in the MCU, because I think most people, if they haven't had MCU fatigue by now, I'd be shocked. I think even the most ardent fans that love the MCU are getting a bit sick and tired of this franchise continuing on, and the quality of the movies are also suffering as a result. So for this one to flop as well, it kind of just adds on top of that fatigue rather than, relieves it.
Well, the thing is, there are still like a load of loyal fans, like MCU fans, who are still championing the multiverse, and they actually like this movie. Which
are you one of them, Peter?
No, I'm not. I can honestly tell you I'm not. But I've seen the comments, so and obviously, if you've looked on Rotten Tomatoes, you've seen the audience score. So it's still, I think it's like 80-something%. So there's still a lot of people that really enjoy this film, and fair play. If you enjoyed it, you enjoyed it. Obviously, it says a lot about, I don't know, their taste, but
You guys have seen that meme with like Thanos online, where like Thor's like spoon feeding him something, right? That meme that's been going around. Any of you seen that?
No.
Oh no, you've seen that. Well, it's like this ridiculous meme of like Thanos basically, where Thor's like spoon feeding him like something, and he has this dumb look in his face, and it's just that kind of thing where, imagine if Thanos was made to come across as a slapstick kind of villain in his movies, how bad that would be. The whole Avengers.
So aside from him, what do you guys think was actually done well in this movie?
The colours when they were getting sucked into the quantum realm.
I did say that as well.
I like that, and I like the scene. I actually like the scene where you see duplicates of Scott Lang.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He basically turns into Naruto, where you can like work together with his own clones.
Shut up, multi-shadow clones.
Yeah, you could basically climb his own clones. But you know what? That kind of confused me as well. That scene confused me because they explained it as it's like every version of him is a probability.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. So so they're not real, but yet they're tangible. You can touch them and you can like grab them.
Is the effects of the quantum realm, I suppose, or whatever?
No, it was that thing. It was the power cord.
The effects of the power cord. It's a probability
matrix.
That's
probability matrix.
Yeah, but
I think about it too much.
But it doesn't make any sense because how is
quantum physics magic, basically, bro. Every choice he could have ever made was represented in there, and obviously it gets confusing because obviously they all fused back together again because they all have the single purpose to want to save Cassie or whatever, which is why they go back together. Yeah, it's that's one of those things you just don't think about too much because it's like time travel. If you think about it too much, you can pick it apart and it don't make sense. So we'll just probably best to part that. It was a cool visual. It was a cool visual. So they did that.
I will say that what I quite liked about that scene is that it almost was like a representation of the ant persona, like ants like obviously helping each other. When I saw that, I was like, that was actually quite good that they obviously emphasized.
I'm not gonna lie, I never thought about that, so that's a nice one that actually made me appreciate it a tiny bit more.
Because it shows that he's an actual Ant-Man.
But that's good. I like that. Yeah.
I think the execution was good, but the explanation didn't make any sense. So it was nice to like have that little bit in there, but it just didn't make sense.
I mean, visually this movie was great, and like you can't really marvel for that.
I think it was up and down because some of the visuals were like really good, like when they were getting sucked in, the bit where Scott Lang was like splitting into different copies of himself, but then some of the visuals were like really bad.
I mean, did anything actually stand out to you, like in the quantum realm when they're actually there? Any landscaping or anything stand out to you? Because nothing stood out to me.
They shot this movie inside volume. Basically it's ILM, so Industrial Light and Magic. They're owned by Disney, aren't they? They use that. It's like a sound stage, which is basically like it has a 360 LED screen. Yeah, and they use it on like the Mandalorian, all the Star Wars shows. So they've used it in this movie. So this is why when you're in the quantum realm, it's a bit. It doesn't quite look screen, but it doesn't look like they're in a real location. So it's a bit of both. It's like they're on a set, but it's like surrounding them. So with that, I feel like it does have like a cool effect, but it still lacks that sense of location. Like you don't feel like you're in a geographically realistic environment, and I feel like it would have been better if they just shot it on location, like in the desert. They went to like a desert.
You said on location. I would say what location were you expecting?
No, just go to like you know how like in like Dune, for example, they just went to like a desert and they just like
I know what you mean.
You actually get that feeling that they're in a real,
just to make it more tangible and feel more immersive.
Less green screen, basically, is what
less
you're saying.
Green screen.
Yeah.
I mean, thing is, so I was going to say that because like I didn't know that they used the screen room for that, because I think that's a beautiful piece of technology that's helped a lot of different TV shows and like, well, Mandalorian basically, astonishing job. Like every scene is just beautiful, and the way it's lit on people, it just completely makes me feel like they're there. But I don't know, for me, I didn't know that for one reason. So because like it just felt like all green screen to me. I don't know it. To me, visually, I think this movie was quite ugly, in all honesty. And like, I just hate the way they did the colors and stuff. It's like, I don't know, it's just a mess to me. It's just absolute mess. Like, I've told Pete this a few times, is that for me, this whole movie was just like bad AI art. It just didn't feel like there was any soul to it, because I don't know, I just felt like they just didn't know what they were trying to accomplish with the world or the creatures or stuff. It just felt like it was just, exactly that. I never feel anything. I just couldn't feel anything.
You know what's funny, Stoops? It feels like they got the creators of Rick and Morty to design these characters, because they feel like they all feel and look like Rick and Morty characters. And after, I don't know if you guys ever got the point. It was like, am I watching Rick and Morty? Like, especially there's one character here, the holes guy.
Oh yeah,
he felt like a character out of Interdimensional Cable, just like they just say random stuff.
The improv stuff.
Yeah, like improv stuff. Yeah, just
because the guy who they basically drank, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That, in order to understand the translation.
That made sense.
Yeah, that was definitely like a Rick and Morty. Like I'm like, I could definitely see this happening in the episode of Rick and Morty. So it kind of was,
Yeah, so should we talk about a bit more specific about the story and the kind of nonsensical nature of some of their characters?
Yeah,
for example, the mum, Janet Van Dyne, keeping all of this shit a secret from everyone, which isn't even consistent, because obviously she freaks out when she finds out that Cassie's been trying to communicate with the quantum realm.
Yeah.
And she's like, why the fuck are you doing that? And it's like, well, you haven't given her a reason not to, A. And B, you were trying to do the exact same fucking thing 5 years ago before the blip. So now all of a sudden you have a problem with it? It's like, obviously it's just inconsistent writing, because there is no congruence. Because if she had a problem with her communicating, then they wouldn't have been playing around with the quantum realm before Endgame. So it just didn't make sense as a plot.
And also the fact that when they actually make it to the quantum realm, when they're like Hank Pym, for example, he's asking her, what's going on? Why is this happening? Da, 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 da. And she's like,
she keeps palming them off.
She keeps saying, "Oh, don't worry, I've got no time to explain." It's like, what are you talking about? You've got
been walking for hours, bro. What are you talking about? all you've got is time. What are you talking about?
You know what? Yeah, if she really, obviously, she knew the threat that was down there. If they were really trying to be consistent, then in, I think, the second Ant-Man movie, when obviously Scott was having his visions, it would have made more sense if the visions were telling him, no, bro, don't open this door. Do you know what I mean? Her knowing the threat that's down there, that would have been a bit more consistent.
Yeah, but they didn't think of this movie back in Ant-Man 2.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because the whole fucking selling point of this whole MCU thing is that they plan shit out. And the fact that it shows that now they're just tacking on stuff, because it does seem like Endgame was literally meant to be the Endgame.
Yeah.
But now they're just tacking on movies afterwards, and they're now forgetting these little, like, consistency pieces here and there in terms of character motivations and what they did previously versus what they're doing now.
And I think that is true because partway through when making the movies up to Endgame, they got the rights for Spider-Man, so their plan changed. And I don't think they really had a plan after Endgame because they didn't know what they would have and what they wouldn't have, which actors are leaving, and so I think after Endgame it was just a kind of what's going to make us money.
Maybe this is just a way for them to not be forgotten. Like, and they don't want to take a long hiatus, so they're just throwing out movies to not be forgotten, so people remember that Marvel is still here.
You say that, but they've sort of got a plan now because they've already got the next 4 or 5 movies planned out, which is leading up to another Avengers movie in like 2025 or some crap like that. But it feels like the start of this phase is not well thought out.
Was this the first phase? First movie in the new phase?
Phase 4.
I can't remember.
Phase 5.
Oh, Phase 5.
Yeah.
Phase 5.
Yeah, this is the first movie in Phase 5. And
Goddamn.
yeah, so I think they done a poor job there with that part of the story. Also, the fact that they made Kang into Voldemort, like I think it was literally like an hour and a half before anyone actually said this motherfucker's name. Like she wouldn't say his like who is he? You keep saying he. Like obviously the people you're talking to do not know who you're talking about because you've not told them anything. Obviously the audience does because or the ones that have watched Loki and have been on the internet probably already know who you're talking about, but you keep saying he like in order to like build up some fake tension, but it just doesn't make sense. This is not how people speak about people. It's so dumb.
I guess
another thing I had a big problem with that. It was the dialogue in this movie was awful. Almost every line just was exactly what you said. This is not how people talk.
No, do you want to know my favorite line?
Say what you will, but when Hank Pym was like, "Holy shit, that guy looked like broccoli," that made me that had me creasing, didn't it?
That's another Rick and Morty thing for sure.
Yeah. No, but my whole favorite line, like the most powerful, like tear jerking, like heartstring pulling moment in this whole movie, when my man goes, I don't know what to do. Tell me what to do, and then she's like, "Don't be a dick," and I was like, really? And then his whole story arc just changes from that point. He's like,
no, that was motivational, bro. You see Naruto, bro. Talk no jutsu, bro. Honestly, the power to change a villain's whole world view with words, bro. With a sentence, bro.
If they had said that to him in Ant-Man 1, he may have actually ended up being an Avenger, bro.
No one thought to tell him not to be a dick. Like, no one thought that.
In case anyone's not sure, we're talking about MODOK now.
Yeah.
Yo,
probably say the man's name.
Can you imagine just like, I don't know, flipping like Thor just rolling up to Thanos, in the Battle of Wakanda and just be like, hey Thanos, don't be a dick. And then Thanos just like returning all the Infinity Stones.
You're right. I see the light now. Yeah, so we should probably go chronologically in the order. So obviously, when the guys get sent to the quantum realm, they get separated, and they eventually meet up with the resistance that are fighting, who Janet was a former ally of. Eventually, I think they meet up with an ex-lover of hers, because obviously she was there for like 30 years. So I try to make a joke about that. And he turns out to be, I mean, he kind of got like, they bypassed that part, but like it seems like he turned on her and then tried to get them captured, and they escaped on his ship.
Yeah.
Which is so stupid.
And of course, he's Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Because why not? Why not? If you can have Bill Murray in your movie, why not shoehorn him in there for 5 minutes?
Yeah, money well spent.
But yeah, because it seemed like they were trying to make a compelling story here about some resistance. Well, because we have no knowledge of this and we have no background of any of this, it kind of seems a bit forced and irrelevant to all of this, and it just padded out the runtime even more before you got to Kang, because I think even then they still weren't saying his fucking name. Like I think they kept, because because I think the other characters, like I think it was Hope and Hank, were like, what is going on? Who is this guy you're talking about? Like, you're not, we've been here for hours and you still haven't told us what you should be afraid of. So yeah, it is weird. And then Cassie and Adman, obviously Scott's trying to get them out, but Cassie wants to help the resistance because she's a dumb teenager. But the movie trying to make her right, because obviously you're trapped in another universe. You have no idea what's right and wrong. You have no idea if these resistance fighters are actually in the right or not. But yeah, let me just blindly help them because they've told us a sub story. I think the movie didn't demonstrate this, but like I think she was quite naive throughout this entire movie. But she, in the end, was made to be the right one in terms of, you should just get involved in other people's issues without even having any knowledge of the context, or the consequences of your actions.
Speaking about Cassie, she managed to get her training montage mid-movie and then survive a fight at the end of the movie, which I was like, I don't feel like this should be working. You can't be teaching her to fight 10 minutes before she's in the final battle.
Well, I think you're misunderstanding.
I think you're meant to gloss over that and assume maybe Janice from karate lessons.
No, she said lost
things in this film.
Cameron, she's a Mary Sue, so she's already perfect. Like she doesn't need any training.
I will say that, and this is a very small thing, but I will say I like the make her a prodigy in terms of she did still have to learn stuff to use the shrinking technology. Obviously, when he was trying to mentor her through like how to like use her weight or whatever.
Mid-fight.
I did quite like that. They didn't make her, because a lot of the other like actresses who have come to replace their male counterparts, they tend to just be prodigies who could just pick up whatever and just like Saw, like in the Saw movie, they pick up the hammer and they're just great. So the small detail, but I did quite.
To be fair, I mean at least she had magic, but like I think she picked up extremely quickly. She picked out mid-fight. Like, I'm not being funny. MODOK was meant to be this unbeatable killing machine, and she beat him by herself. Like no difficulty.
It's implied that she was training with the suit beforehand. It's implied.
Is it?
Yeah, because
I think it was implied. Yeah, because she had the suit beforehand.
I mean, it's implied that she had the suit, not that she was training with the suit.
Well, the fact that she had the suit means that she must have used it before. She wouldn't have just put it on that day. That is the point. The point is that she must have used it.
No. I'm not saying that she trained how to use the suit to shrink and that, but actual fighting, I don't think there was any training beforehand. Because who's going to send her out? How old is she? 16? 16-year-old to go out and fight people.
That's the point. The age is getting a bit confused now because of the blip and that. But yeah, she's 16, 19, something like that.
Yeah, because we see her fighting people just fisticuffs, but I'm not seeing her go out to fight people in a suit. I doubt it. Mm-hmm. So she
all of them go to the same jiu-jitsu class, bro. You get that, that Marvel jiu-jitsu training.
Did Hope know what she was doing in researching the quantum realm? Did Hope know what? Right, so she trained Scott how to fight, so maybe she just gave
no, I doubt
a few lessons. Like,
I mean, if she was giving her lessons, he wouldn't need to teach her the same thing.
Exactly that. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe she was a bad student.
Yeah.
Can we talk about just like how ridiculous MODOK, how ridiculous the character was? Because like when he came on screen, go on.
I was gonna say, what does it stand for again? Because I've already forgotten.
Mechanized organism designed only for killing.
Yeah, good memory.
I didn't. No. I read that, bro. I appreciate it. I should have just lied. I should have just said, I remembered that.
Don't forget, it's a silent F, remember? The F is silent.
Yeah. It's not MODOK.
MODOK. Yeah, when he came on screen in my screening, everyone just started cracking up. And I just think not for the right reasons. I mean, did they want him to be like a dumb character that you just laugh at? Because so cheap.
They Ant-Manned him. That's the point. They basically Ant-Manned him in terms of they turned him into a bit of a joke, because Ant-Man is meant to be a comedic movie. So they Ant-Manned MODOK and turned him into a clown.
Yeah.
I have to say, one thing that I don't like in movies, and this is, I don't like when they make up death a comedy. Like, that makes me a bit uncomfortable. when I'm seeing that in films.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like when like his scene when they were like kind of making a joke of it, like, oh, I'm great, like I got to be like an Avenger, and Scott's just like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
my man just risked his life.
Yeah,
the textbook.
because I think the introduction of like the story of the change of turning like Darren Cross into MODOK, I personally don't mind that. I don't mind like changes like that because I thought that was an interesting way to introduce MODOK and the way the shrinking turned him into that. But obviously, then you see his face, and you're just like, why'd you show his face? Because now you can't take him seriously because he just looks like an idiot. You should have just kept the mask on and just made it. And and they changed him into a. So like,
they literally just stretched his face into that kind of square screen. When rarely, I mean, if they wanted you to take him seriously, they would have like obviously done the makeup and made his maybe make him look a bit more terrorizing and like.
Just keep that face mask that he had on basically.
Yeah.
Don't show his actual face.
Yeah, that looked good. That looked good.
And then turn him into an actual serious side villain or something. But like, they just made him into a joke.
They could have definitely like used better effects than just stretching his face. Like they could have easily, put some detail into his eyeballs and all that kind of stuff. But literally, it was just a stretched face, and that's why people couldn't take it seriously.
Has anyone seen the MODOK TV show?
No.
Oh yeah, the animated one. Yeah.
It's like Adult Swim, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just, you seen the design of that, and then what they did to him is just like,
And it's a shame because in the comics, MODOK's actually like a very like intimidating, formidable villain.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
In the old cartoon, he was intimidating.
Yeah.
And even in the start of when he was introduced as this killing machine that all of the resistance feared and everything like that. It's only throughout the movie they turned him into a clown once we realized who he was.
He got beat by just Scott's daughter who had like little experience, but the whole resistance were shit scared of him, which is another thing which just doesn't add up. Like, why is no one taking this guy out? Like.
Yeah, and he changed his whole worldview just by some girl caught saying "don't be a dick." Like, especially he should be the most angry because obviously, like, that Scott Lang done that to him, like trapped him in the quantum realm and turned him into some big that level of hatred he should have for Scott Lang shouldn't be able to be overturned just by saying "don't be a dick."
It's meant to be partially, or you expect it to be partially a revenge story. Expect it to be a part of the film, but it's not.
Yeah.
Like,
I just don't see how you can witness those series of events, like from MODOK, looking terrible, like the CGI being terrible, his inconsistent character to the point where like you laugh at his death and you just walk away thinking, I've just watched a good movie. It's like, surely that's like the nail in the coffin. No pun intended, but that's like the nail in the coffin for this movie. Like the whole treatment of like whether you're a fan of MODOK in the comics or not, like it's just terrible.
Yeah,
there's so many things wrong with this movie.
Yeah. And I feel like, you were saying how it was distasteful, the joke about like, oh yeah, sure, you're an Avenger, yeah, sure, yeah. It's like, that just seems to be a reoccurring thing with Marvel films now. Like, they just put jokes at like the most inappropriate moments.
Well, I think Scott was being a bit of a dick there, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's with like a lot of Marvel, like even the last Thor movie had, obviously, we all know that had like too many jokes. And even Ragnarok, I remember like a really jarring moment where
exploded.
Asgard gets destroyed,
and
then Korg makes a joke like right at that point, and I'm like, dude,
it's
like, come on, actually. just let people just feel the moment, innit? Like
don't ruin it, bro.
Yeah. So,
I like Korg.
So, should we move on to Kang then? Obviously, we spoke about him a bit, but we'll probably go into a bit more detail in terms of.
I have a question about Kang. Where do you think he got all his man them from?
Built them, and scared people into working for him. No,
I think that would be the assumption. I would say is that they're either robots or they're people that serve under him. Either or. He's been there for a long time, and the quantum realm's huge. So that's the reason he's the most powerful person there with this technology. So easy enough for him to build an empire, I guess, is an assumption. I don't think it's a stretch.
Yeah, I mean his side people were just there was not really they were just
you keep cutting out, man.
You're cutting out a lot.
Sorry. His side people were disposable. There you go. That's what I was.
Yeah, you kept that out again.
Yeah. I just want to say.
I think just of what you're saying is his side people were not memorable or disposable. Modoc was meant to be his main side person, and he got disposed of quite easily. He wasn't intimidating. He was meant to be intimidating, but they turned him into a joke. So then he had no one else in his entire armada, his empire, that was even remotely a credible threat to the protagonists in this movie.
His armada reminded of the Stormtroopers.
Yeah, which to some extent, all bad guys in movies tend to be Stormtrooper-esque in terms of because the good guy needs to win and they have plot armor on their side. And the sign of a good movie is to reduce that plot armor as much as possible to make a compelling story with actual stakes. Whereas this movie thought, we'll just turn this into a joke. Because this whole resistance versus the Empire thing, I mean, this Empire crumbled, like, spectacularly. So, like, I was like, how did you guys, you've been fighting this guy for 30 years? And these guys show up for a couple days and take over? Like, I know they got shrinking tech and stuff, but it shouldn't have been that easy to take over Kang's empire that he's established over, 3 decades? Well, to be fair, we don't know how long it's... Well, it must be 3 decades, because that's how long Janet Van Dyne was in there for. So, like, at least 3 decades or something. So, I don't think they done well.
And also, I don't think he was there as soon as she got there, so...
Well, maybe less, but it can't be... There's 2 decades then. Like, it's a long damn time to build yourself when he's, like, got that sort of level of technology to build an empire, and then for it to come rumble so spectacularly, and then for a man to get dealt with the way he got dealt with afterwards. Especially because they introduced him, because I still don't know what his powers are now. Because when he was introduced, he was doing some telekinetic shit, he was making people float in the air and spin, and then he just never used that power again. It's like he forgot he had, like, whatever he could to...
He was dusting resistant people. I did not use it on any of the main characters. I thought that was just ridiculous.
That plot armor was thick. No, I think his powers are the...
He's just got technology.
It's a technology,
It's
like advanced technology that has like all sorts of abilities and stuff like that. But yeah, again, it would be different if they said, he has this power source that, he could only use it at certain times, or he only has...
They did though. That was the whole point of that orb thing.
Yeah, but
that was just for his ship, though.
That was just for his ship. Yeah.
No, because basically, he said when he landed that they sealed his power, and when he landed, it broke, and that's why he couldn't get out. And that's why
that was the power source for his ship. So when travel the multiverse.
Wait, so when he got the orb back near the beginning, didn't that unlock part of his tech, like his helmet?
Yeah, it unlocked part of his arm. Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Wait, what?
So basically, when he crash landed there, he had nothing. When he first got the orb before Janet blew it up, he had it and it unlocked some of his tech.
Yeah, his helmet came on.
Yeah, but he didn't have the orb for that long, because she literally blew it up straight after she found out that he was gonna destroy universes and stuff.
Yeah, so I'd say that would be the main source of his power, would it not?
Well, I didn't understand that to be his main source of power. I thought it was like the main power source for his ship in order for him to travel the different universes. But I thought his other tech was tangential to that, or like I don't think it was reliant on that, because obviously he managed to build that whole flipping empire without it. So he must have had no access to the other tech.
He built that empire after he got some of his power back after touching the orb.
Yeah, presumably when he got the back the first time, powered up enough to allow him to get, and then it was. I think that he couldn't even move his at the beginning, but after it turned on, he was always, move it. Didn't he? Like when it was in like Office Empires.
Because I think you're forgetting that when he crash landed, he had nothing, and then Janet helped him fix it, so he was getting his powers back. Then she saw how fucked up he was, and she blew it up, so he didn't get his full powers back.
But that literally happened in like 10 seconds. 10, 15 seconds.
So
I don't know what point you're trying to make.
I'm saying that I think that orb is his main source of power, so he was at full power because he didn't have the orb for the whole time.
Yeah, Cameron's saying that he got maybe like a 10% recharge for the seconds he had the.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is irrelevant of all that. When he captured Ant-Man and the daughter, he had powers. He was using something.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't think that was his full power.
What I'm saying is he had that power though then, where he was using telekinesis, he was floating, and then that power doesn't disappear. Where did it go? Like, he had that power then. That's why he was so intimidating. That's why he threatened him. It's like, I'm gonna kill your daughter, I'm gonna float her up, and I'm gonna make you relive her death over and over again. Yeah, remember when he said that whole speech?
He could have been lying.
He was running low on battery.
Yeah, he could have been lying. What he could do is float. You don't know that.
Anyway, just like, I mean, just moving on. I think to Kang's demise, he got taken out by. Can someone explain that to me, please?
They were really smart. They were really smart.
Oh, yeah.
They were really, really smart, and there were a lot of them.
Yeah, and they've been alive for hundreds of years, haven't they?
And they were really big. How did they get big again? I forgot that part. How did they get big?
They didn't go down as far as they did. Remember when they were shrinking down to the quantum verse?
Oh, right, okay.
I don't think they went down as far as they did.
Right.
Or they didn't. Yeah.
And Hank Pym was communicating with them. That's how they knew to come. But yeah.
You know what? That's a good point, yeah. Because I don't know about you guys, but there were points in the movie towards like the third act, like just going towards the third act, yeah, where like for the life of me, I couldn't follow like where each character was. I don't know whether it's the editing or just like the world was just not very well illustrated. But am I the only one? Like I couldn't like. So they were basically Scott and Cassie were in like one section of the quantum realm, as in like they were shrunk in one section, and then obviously you got Hank, and you've got Janet, and then you got. But like it was just a mess. Like people were just everywhere. I couldn't really tell who was where.
So I think they were on the same level, just different areas of the quantumverse.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to the landscaping. We never really got an overview.
Yeah.
Places or anything like that. So
but that's the point at which I kind of like just clocked out. Like I was just like, I can't tell who's where. And for the life of me, I do not care. This is just like a really poorly mismanaged version of Inception. Because you know, Inception, you've got different levels of this world, and I'm like, I don't care where who is where, and like. Just, I don't know, man. But yeah, so we were talking about Kang, weren't we?
Yeah. And he also mentioned the fact that he's killed Avengers.
Yeah.
In tons of times, apparently. Killed Thor, obviously, because he mentioned him.
Week 4.
Even killed Thor multiple times, apparently. Is that the one with so much so that it's like, is that one with the hammer, bruv? Man called him that. You know, it was that much light work that he's like, is that the one with the hammer? Like, so maybe to your point, maybe because he had the orb, then he was more powerful. But I thought the assumption was that he could have done it. Because you don't brag about something that you can't do presently if you've done it in the past. Like, I mean,
you don't really let your enemies know that you're weaker than you were before, do you?
Yeah, but you don't need to brag about killing people either. You just do shit. Like, if you've got to do something, do it. Like, you don't start making up stuff that you did do that you can't do currently. So, like, because I think like that's the whole point. Where like Thanos weren't going around making threats, bro. He was just doing shit. Like, he wasn't talking about like fucking up the whole. He just fucked him up. Just like word, give me your skull, boom.
That's what I said before that. Thanos's entrance, like his proper entrance, was very impactful. He bodied 3 Avengers, 2 Avengers and Loki.
Yeah,
and then
strongest Avengers as well. With no Infinity Stone. That's how you make an intimidating villain. Yeah, because of Ant-Man. Like I think maybe they're gonna go with the whole I forget what it's called, but the Legion, the Kang or whatever, as the big bad rather than Kang the Conqueror. Because I can't take Kang the Conqueror seriously anymore.
No.
I honestly think we're gonna get another version of Kang the Conqueror, maybe an earlier version or something.
It's too late. I don't care if it's another version, because this is the whole problem with this multiverse nonsense, is that most people are quite simple when they go to movies. They want to know who the bad guy is, they want to know who the good guy is, and they want a meaningful story between those two characters. Like, when you have multiple versions or infinite versions of a character, in our head, we still see the same person. So I don't think it has that same level of impact. Because I just saw this guy get dealt with by ants. If you tell me that this guy's another variant, that don't mean nothing to me. I saw him get fucked up by ants. I can't unsee that. Like, so, real talk, You've ruined your antagonist before he's got started.
Yeah, you can
think of him like a hero. This is his first fight. He lost his first fight. He's gonna go off and train and come back stronger.
Villains don't do that. Heroes do. That's the point, bro. If the villain loses the first time, I'm tapped out. The movie's done. Story done.
Are you saying Kang was the underdog of this story, bro? Are you saying Kang was the underdog? Oh man.
Underdog to Ant-Man. He's a side man Avenger. He's not even an OG Avenger, bro. Man's a side man.
You can bet they're gonna make jokes about that, like.
Oh, we've lost you, Ruben.
I said they're gonna joke about that in the next movie.
Yeah, probably.
What's the next movie?
The Marvels.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna.
Have you heard that? What's her name is upset because it's not called
Captain Marvel 2. Yeah. Everyone else got their own movies. Why does mine have to be called the Marvel?
Seriously? She's such a narcissist. I swear to God, like.
She's having arguments with her co-stars because of it as well. So, like,
I did not know. Bloody hell.
But back to this movie, because obviously we could talk a lot about the whole movie. It's like, that is the whole point in terms of Kang. If this was meant to be the introduction of the Kangs or Kang the Conqueror, which was the assumption, like, no one died. My man caught one body and it was Lightbulb Head. Does everyone remember Lightbulb Head? That's the only body that Kang the Conqueror got. The only important body he dropped, and we don't even know his name. He's Lightbulb Head. Like, do you know his name? Sylvie, do you know his name? Pete? Cameron? You know Lightbulb Head's name?
No, man.
Now, can I just say?
They didn't include that Resistance woman, whoever she was. There's no bodies, and he's meant to be a bad man.
Resistance
Obviously,
woman.
that was his first introduction. Man bodied Loki, and we thought he killed Thor in the first 10 minutes. And he just banged up Hulk, and Hulk had to run away. Like, this man ain't got no bodies against Sideman Ant-Man. Like, he's a Sideman. What are we doing, bro?
Exactly.
Honestly, I'm getting more angry the more I talk about this stupid movie, bro.
Stupid.
You
know what? I wouldn't even mind that, yeah. I wouldn't even mind that, because, okay, fair enough. Like, he's a weak villain, yeah. There's other versions of him to bounce back. But, like, you told me that this guy has destroyed societies, he's killed civilizations, he's murdered trillions of people. And then you just get slapped up by Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like, there's a big disconnect there. Like, where's the? It's like you're telling me something, but you're showing me another thing. So, like,
I don't know, bro. I'm like, what did Janet see in that vision when she touched the orb? Because I don't know who these people are that he beat. Like, what universes were these? Maybe they deserved to die because they were so weak that they couldn't deal with this guy. Because this Ant-Man literally rocked up. No Avengers with him, just his Ant family, and done put in work, bruv. Honestly. The fact that no one died, honestly, this movie should have been the end of Ant-Man. Like, Kang should have killed Ant-Man or the Wasp. One of them should have died.
It would have made sense.
Or his daughter. I was saying.
One of them had to go. I think at least 3 of them to show that it's a real threat with real stakes, bruv. Yeah. But because it's a comedy, you can't end on that note.
I thought,
and that's why this is the wrong vehicle for it, because no one could die in this movie. Because it's an Ant-Man.
At least, like, kill off Hank Pym. Like, he's the oldest there. You know, he's at the right age to, like, obviously no disrespect, but like it would have been like a big hit. Do you know what I mean? Because it would have made sense. But
I mean, if you killed him off, where would they get the Pym particles from? Because isn't he the only detective that has to make that moment?
Bro, she's a prodigy. She can figure it out, bro. Like, she figured out the quantum realm, for fuck's sake. Like, how can Pym particles be, bro? Like, they seem to know how to do shit when the plot requires it. So, because that's the other thing as well. Because I thought that navigating the quantum realm was like a big deal. Like, it was really difficult. All of a sudden, you could just like portal in and out of there like that. Like, because I thought in the last fight, I thought he was trapped there. I thought that was a sacrifice. That, you know, he sacrificed himself to take care of Kang and to keep Kang trapped there so no one could get back. And then 2 seconds later, after the Wasp comes back and helps him out, they just go back home. Like,
because she designed that thing specifically to track him, isn't it? If he ever got lost out.
Did she? Is that what they said?
She did say that at the beginning.
I thought it was just to map the quantum verse.
It was like tracking as well, wasn't it? Meant to be tracking, so she could. She designed it initially when he was trapped out there.
Okay.
Anyway,
I found Light Bulb his name. It's Zolam.
I like Bulbheads better, bro. Light Bulbhead is better, it's more memorable, and that was the only body it caught, bro. Like, Man had like 4 lines in the entire movie, I think. Did he talk? I can't remember.
No, he didn't talk.
Who cares? You sure he didn't talk?
he shot laser.
Maybe the other one spoke.
He shot laser. That's it, bro.
Anyway, yeah. Sideman characters. So yeah, that's the movie. And just to talk about the mid-credit scene, where they show the Legion of Kangs or whatever their name is. I'm sorry, if those are the antagonists now, I can't take that shit seriously. It looks like Comic-Con. It looks so bad. It looks like Halloween. I'm sorry. My man with the Pharaoh throne on. My man, no. Like, my man looking like Cyborg and that. No, it looks so corny, bro. It looks so bad. It looks so bad. The guy with the moustache and the blue thing, nah, it don't work. It works in comics because they're cartoons.
Yeah.
In film, it don't work. It don't work. You look stupid. I mean, Jonathan Majors is a great actor. But he looked like a fucking idiot.
Nah,
he just looked stupid, bro. I can't take them seriously.
It's the Council of Kangs.
I think what got me was that what made me laugh is that there were Kangs in the audience cheering as well.
Yeah. I think they just made him look like a clown.
The Kangs, bro.
Like like he actually looked like he went from being at least a decent, because obviously Jonathan Majors' acting was good, so you could respect it for the acting. Like, the emotion was there, even though the writing was terrible. But then when you made him do dress up and he was just wearing this cosplay and these really bad prosthetics, like there was like in the Colosseum you could see certain Kangs and they had like shit stuck on his face, and I was like, oh, I'm
actually seeing the more of the Rick and Morty parallel now.
Because the citadel of Rick's in it. I think that's why they got this guy to write it. Yeah, I think that's why they got him to write it.
And I think, and I don't know, maybe you lot might disagree with this. I think that there's certain things that you can't do live action. Like, maybe I didn't read these comics, so I don't know, but maybe the Council of Kangs and that Egyptian Kang made sense. Like, I've seen YouTube videos on that, and apparently that was a good comic. Maybe he was a good villain in that. I just don't think that translates to the big screen. Maybe there's someone who could do it properly, but it looks stupid to me. I don't know how you take that seriously, because I saw like a comic of it and it looked silly in the comic as well, but I don't read it, so I don't know the context of it, but it just looks dumb. It looks stupid. I don't know how anyone can look at that and not think it looks like cosplay. It looks stupid.
It could have been like, I reckon it could have worked, yeah, but you need to build up to it. Like, they showed too much. It's like they basically did a DC. You know how DC rushed the Justice League, yeah, before they had a chance to build up the Flash. Obviously, we all know the Flash and whatnot.
Yeah.
But they basically just came out with the Justice League. This is the Whedon cut, where they didn't really give them development. So it kind of felt that way, where you're basically just showing me all these Kangs, yeah. You need to like introduce each Kang individually. Like, have like 6 or 7 Kangs, yeah.
I ain't got time for that.
What,
no, but I'm saying in their own movie. So like, you have different Kangs in that. So like, we get to know each Kang. But
you mean like what they did with Thanos?
Yeah, exactly. But they're just like, look, we're just gonna dump all the Kangs. Yeah, you've only met 2 Kangs. So that's
and they both got bodied.
Yeah, they both got
bodied. One got bodied by the Sideman God, and one got bodied by Ant-Man, the Sideman Avenger. Yeah. And then you show me the rest of the Kangs that was scared of the Kang that just got bodied by Ant-Man. Like, I don't care. And he's wearing Halloween costumes. No, I'm done out here, bro. It's done. I'm sorry.
It was just,
MCU is done out here. It's done. I don't. Like, they got to change up. They got to They got to do something, because it's done out here, bro.
It's done, man. It's really done, bro. I feel like the MCU is not, it's not what it used to be, man. It's not what it used to be. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, bro. They don't understand. Like, I don't understand. I don't think they realize what they did with Infinity War, because Infinity War was Thanos' movie. That is where you finally there's been clips of him all throughout the phases, and Infinity War was there to demonstrate how much of an antagonist, how bad this guy actually was, and how powerful he was. And if this movie was meant to introduce this Avenger level threat, it done such a horrible job, because I think that was its primary purpose. Like, even if it was a bad movie, if they represented him as a credible threat going forward, maybe they got something to salvage. But the main task they had in this movie, they failed horribly. So now, I'm obviously gonna keep watching these fucking things, but I don't want to.
The only thing I can be hopeful for is that when Kang he said something like you want me here because something worse is coming. We can only be hopeful that he wasn't alluding to though.
Yeah, but me and Cam spoke about that, and what he was alluding to was his other variants.
Well, I hope that's what I'm saying. I hope not. Like maybe there's something else that he was referring to. Like, was he specific when he said that?
Yeah, because I think the whole point was that they're meddling. The other Kangs meddling with time and universes travel was what was destabilizing the multiverse and all that, and that is why the Kang and Loki created the TVA to try and address that balance and to contain the multiverses into one timeline. And the other Kang was just straight up murdering them to stop them from playing with the timelines. I think the threat he was talking about was the other Kangs fucking with the timeline. I don't think it was, so I think that's what he was talking about. If it's a bit confusing because all this multiverse shit is confusing, but I thought that is what he was alluding to.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too, but I hope maybe they've got something else.
I think your hope is gonna be dashed.
Because Captain Marvel was already OP anyway, so I don't see how this. I feel like she could deal with any of these threats by herself. To be honest, just give her some multiverse time travel thing and let her deal with the problem. Just let her fly to each universe and deal with the thing, innit?
We'll see, innit? We'll see.
I don't know why they didn't just introduce Kang in the Marvels. That would have made so much more sense because, you're stacking them up against a villain, the strongest. She's meant to be the strongest Avenger, right?
Yep.
One of, yeah.
Yeah. So it
well, she is now. She definitely is now. I mean, there's no one else. I guess Thor technically is still about.
And Scarlet Witch's death is not been confirmed.
Yeah. That's the thing with multiverses. There's no one is really truly dead. So who knows? Everyone can come back because you can have different versions. That's what I think people started asking to bring back Iron Man and stuff somehow. Because obviously multiverse.
There's going to be a version of it that's back for one of the future movies. Robert Downey Jr. is back.
Oh, is it?
Which I think is a bad idea. Only because I feel like if you have to pander back to your glory days, it shows that your current days are trash. I think let him die. He died. He's done. You're meant to build up new heroes. That's the whole point. And they're meant to be interested enough to hold the movie by themselves. But right now, I think, can we go through the current Avengers? It's pretty depressing. If you actually think who we've got left. We've got discount Black Widow, the Black Widow sister.
Yelena.
Oh, yeah.
That's her name. Discount Hawkeye.
She's not an Avenger.
Got discount.
She's not an Avenger.
Will be. She will be when they're gonna rope her in eventually, bro. Got discount Captain America / Falcon.
War Machine.
Yeah.
Potentially, or my man couldn't walk before. Is he still
he hasn't been brain up yet.
CGI.
True.
CGI She-Hulk. Yeah.
Oh yeah, She-Hulk. So Sideman Hulk. I mean, Hulk is still about technically.
No.
Powered.
I don't think it's Jimmy Williams. They're gonna use the Ironheart.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Ironheart. Discount Iron Man. Are any of these filling you with any sort of anticipation or excitement? Well, Spider-Man, they don't know him anymore, innit? So they forgotten him. True. And they lost the right, so they've got no memory of Spider-Man. It's a big man thing, but it's not looking good.
I don't want Spider-Man to be pulled down with the current Avengers lineup.
Yeah. And then you got Captain Marvel. That's all we got. Nick Fury's probably looking at his roster right now. It's are these the band them I got to work with?
I missed Marvel and Daredevil.
I don't know. But all I'm going to say is that have you heard the apparently leaks or rumors? I don't know how true they are, but they're saying that Spider-Man's supposed to be the leader of the current Avengers to fight Kang. I don't know how true that is, but apparently there's been leaks and stuff, but who knows?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't think Tom Holland's Spider-Man strikes me as leader material. Yeah. He doesn't strike me as he's just that. He's not that Spider-Man. This is the young, amazing Spider-Man type. This isn't like Spider-Man middle 25, 30-year-old Spider-Man where maybe I could believe he could do that. I don't think Tom Holland's Spider-Man could lead the Avengers. I think you need a certain person, a certain actor in a certain role, and you have to build them up as that. Captain America was built as the leader from the first movie, Captain America. He was built as that. I don't think you can shoehorn because like Spider-Man's been shown as a kid who's getting to grips with shit the entire time. For him to be leading the Avengers, I think would be a bit of a joke.
Not yet, yeah.
Personally, this Spider-Man, this version of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo's not going to do the Hulk anymore. I think he's got one more movie in him.
Nice. Well, get that out when you still can, man.
Well, to be fair, they've already depowered the Hulk anyway. He's smart now, and so he's not the. We're not gonna get. We've had our Hulk now. We're not gonna get him back. I think he should be phased out.
We got Hulk's son.
They'll probably recast, Hulk's. I think that's why they introduced his son in She-Hulk, because they know he doesn't want to come back to do any more cameos. So this is gonna be our new Hulk. Hey guys, did you want to get into final thoughts, or did you want to touch on anything else?
Yeah, it's probably time to do that.
Cool. All right. I think I'll go first anyway. So, man. I think coming into this film, like, because I remember I was talking to Subi prior to seeing this, and I was like, "Bro, so what's the verdict?" And he was basically saying, Love and Thunder is like the Godfather compared to this, and I was like, damn. And like watching it myself, I didn't think it was like the worst film ever. Like, it's definitely not the worst MCU film, even though I do think it does deserve to have the I think it's a second Rotten Tomato in the MCU, which is wild. That is only the second movie to get Rotten Tomato. I think way more movies deserve it, but I feel like the poor sort of like storytelling, the lazy writing, the paper thin characters, to just dropping the ball with MODOK, with your main villains MODOK and Kang, who have a wealth of like storytelling and source material to adapt from, and this is what you produce. Like, you could have done so many things. You could have introduced Kang the way you introduced Thanos. Like, you've already, the mold is there. Like, you've got the blueprint, and I don't know what happened. I think maybe there was just too many cooks in the kitchen, like too many ideas. Maybe there was too much pressure from like the Disney or the studio. There's like, I'll put more jokes in there, or like, more reshoots. So, but I just feel like this movie was just a bit of a disaster in terms of like the production. I don't want to blame the characters or like the people who worked on it. I'm sure they worked hard, but I feel like this movie is an out and out failure. It just failed to kind of deliver on, and it's meant to be the start of the new phase 5. Like, this is meant to reinvigorate the MCU, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm deep in that kind of MCU superhero fatigue, where I'm like, after this movie, I'm probably not going to be excited for any other movies. Like, I'm on Team DC, bro. Like, I'm looking forward to the Flash.
Never.
I'm looking forward to the Flash. I'm like, I was watching the Flash trailer earlier today, and I was like, this film actually looks good,
They're good at trailers, bro. That's what we know they're good at. Batman vs Superman trailer was fire.
That's a fair point. But even from a storytelling perspective, like, the story just looks so good, and like it kind of made me think back to the days where like the storytelling in Marvel movies, like the character development, the character building, like it was just on point. Like the performances, everything was on point. But I just feel like maybe Marvel's become too saturated. Maybe they've become too complacent. Maybe they're just not really. It's a formula, and you can just see the formula. You can see the blueprint. Do you know what I mean? It's all there. It's all there, black and white. So for me, this movie was, pretty much again, it's not the worst MCU movie I've watched, but it didn't do it any favors. It trying to jumpstart this monster that's kind of going down with the ship, and this just wasn't it. It had a lot to live up to, and I feel like it buckled under the pressure of the expectations and the execution. So anyway, I'm gonna get to the point. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 10, which I'm not sure what the rating is, but I'll just say it's undercooked. That's all I can say.
Burnt to a crisp.
I gotta send it back. I gotta send it back to the chef. Maybe add some seasoning to this one, like just kind of like try again. So that's my verdict.
I think I better go next just because of your score. I'll be brief in case I cut out, but yeah, I didn't expect much from the movie. If anything, I think what I was maybe just a bit more better visuals, to be honest. I was hoping that they would really make the Quantum very visually pleasing and something good to look at. But like Subi said, it was just kind of just not even like a visual wasteland. It was just a lot of, it looked like a lot of green screen, and there was nothing memorable gave me all the background. I think the shooting was mainly actually just on the characters, and they just completely ignored their environment, more or less, so to speak. So nothing memorable about the Quantum Realm specifically. And yeah, the story was just crap. They messed up Kang's character. He's not intimidating. He's not going to be intimidating. Set of movies that make, and it just kind of anticipation that would have been left after this movie if it had been done better, non-existent. So I don't know what direction or what Marvel are going to do to try and, maybe go back to basics and live on what they've done before. But yeah, definitely not looking forward to the next set of movies. I think it was a bit heartless to say you're looking forward to DC though. Like, that comparison, that's a par, bro. I thought that was a low blow. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I would actually give this 3 out of 10. I was thinking burnt to crisp because I'm not sure. I was going to ask you, what would you say is the worst Marvel movie you've seen? Because it's definitely been the most displeasing one that I can
Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder, 100%.
Eternals.
Yeah. I can't even call it a movie.
I'll have to see what score you gave Love and Thunder, but I definitely think this one ranks lower than Love and Thunder to me.
Same.
Yeah, personally. But yeah, that's just me. Cool. Next up.
I can go real quick then. So when I wasn't even planning to watch this movie, to be honest, but obviously we had to because of the review and stuff. But thing is, that's not always a bad thing if I'm expecting it to be bad. So if my expectations are really low for a film, I can at least be surprised by a few things and end up maybe enjoying it a tiny bit more. Sometimes that does happen. In this case, obviously that was not the case because I just couldn't find any saving grace for this film. I mean, like a couple of scenes, like obviously the one Peter mentioned where there was loads of, with the multiple possibility versions and stuff. So that's the only scene I can really remember, to be honest, as being where I was actually quite impressed a tiny bit. Another thing I can probably give a kind of like a thumbs up to is I did enjoy like the soundtrack at parts. It was quite a cool, sci-fi kind of cool techno kind of thing, so I enjoyed that. But I mean, you could probably tell like I was quite quiet most of this review because I was just so tired of this film. I just angering, like wanting to even talk about the film, but I was like enjoying everyone's views on it and stuff. And I think Law put it perfectly as with his run in the middle, which was like beautiful. So yeah, I mean I've said my views really. I thought it was like a soulless kind of attempt at a story, an Avenger level threat story. It just felt like AR art to me. It felt like everything was written by a computer. The dialogue as well, as I mentioned before, literally everything just felt like it wasn't done by a person. And the person who did it is a guy named Jeff Loveness, and he was actually the only writer in this thing. So that wasn't even a case of, is there so many ideas coming in that they mess up? No, it's just one guy. So you could have had a better idea of that, but apparently he just couldn't handle it. So
I think sometimes they do change stuff. Stuff. Like other people do change stuff, but they don't get credited.
Yeah.
So
maybe yeah. But even I don't know. That name just fills me with hate now. But unfortunately, he's actually writing the main Kang Dynasty Avengers movie as well. So expectations there is the future's not looking good now.
I mean, that can still change.
Yeah, they need to bring back the Russo brothers.
Discuss,
they need to bring back the Russo brothers. Like, pay them whatever they want, man. Just bring them back. They need to save this shit.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, they're the only people who can save this at the moment, because at the moment,
what's your rating?
Awful start. All that side, it's going to be a 1 out of 10 from me. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm guessing inedible. It was freaking inedible.
Garbage on a plate, the same food.
Yeah, that.
One.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Would you have gone lower? Would you have gone lower than a 1 if you?
No, I mean, just because of those scenes I mentioned in the soundtrack and stuff, I'll at least give it a 1 because there are certain areas where they did try. And you know, when you mentioned the thing about the ants and stuff, I actually quite appreciate that a tiny bit. That it felt like it was the ants. So that tiny bit of creativity that was in there, I can at least appreciate that. But unfortunately, it was not enough.
I think I'll go next, so Law can bring up the last. Well, he got bodied by ants. I'm sorry. like I said before, he came in nice, he had this whole mysterious vibe going for him. But this movie had so much other things going wrong. Yeah, it had a couple laughs in there, like when the little whole thing was like, yeah, you understand me now? There was a couple jokes in there. But overall, it was definitely burnt to a crisp. I'm gonna have to give it a 3.
Okay. I think the main problem with this movie is I think that it's killed by the context in which it surrounds. I think this is a perfect example of a movie not knowing its place. Ant-Man is a sideman Avenger. He shouldn't be dealing with Avenger level threats or setting them up in his movies, in my opinion. That should be done to bigger and better Avengers and bigger and better movies. I think I'm in the minority, but I enjoyed Ant-Man and the Wasp, the second Ant-Man movie, and I really loved the first Ant-Man. And the reason I like those two movies is because they knew their place. There was nice little side quest movies. Very comedic, very funny. You guys mentioned the friends he had, Michael Penner's character, all of that. I loved all of that shit about those movies. They weren't like massive Avenger level threat. It was just little minor villains with minor issues, and they deal with it. And I think it did what it did well. I think a lot of the reason why Ant-Man 2 got the stick that it got is because it followed Infinity War. So when you go from Infinity War to Ant-Man and the Wasp, obviously, I think that probably skewed people's rating of the movie itself, because obviously you're going from a fucking 10 out of 10 movie to Ant-Man and the Wasp. But this movie tries to, it's meant to set up the Avenger level threat like Infinity War does, but it doesn't have the gravitas of the characters to do it or the writers to do it either. And this was evident throughout the movie in the fact that it couldn't set up an intimidating villain, and they didn't have the balls to actually change the tone. If they're going to go in this direction, then you've got to change the tone of the movie and actually show that this Kang is a threat by killing off some of these heroes and showing that this guy's a serious threat. So because of that, I can't really take the movie seriously. I think in terms of the individual performances, I think Paul Rudd is great as Ant-Man. His comedic timing is always brilliant in these movies. And I think in isolation, his performance was good in this movie, and I think Jonathan Majors' performance was good in the movie. But the movie itself dragged them down, and it just did such a poor job in so many different areas that I have to give this movie. I'm trying to think. I think it's not the worst movie in the MCU, so because that's Love and Thunder for me, but it is down there. Like, do I prefer this movie to Eternals? Probably, because Eternals was just fucking boring. Like, Eternals just had nothing. Like, at least this had a joke or two to like keep you entertained. Like, Eternals was like watching paint dry. So at least it had that. So I think probably I agree with most of you guys that while it's not a 1 out of 10 in my opinion, because I reserved that for Love and Thunder, it's probably not that much higher than that. So I would give it a 3 out of 10 as well. I think that's a fair result, a fair rating for this movie. And God help the MCU. You lot are a lot more optimistic than I am. I think it's done out here. It's a trajectory. It's been going on this trajectory for quite a while now, and I only see it heading one way now. I think there's only so long you can keep churning out good movies before you finally just run out of ideas, and I think that's what's happened here. And obviously the change in writers, obviously the Russo brothers being gone. They're juggling too much, trying to churn out too many movies. I think this movie is a 3 out of 10, and I think we are witnessing the death of the MCU. Yeah. So
I don't really understand how they let this die.
I'd say it's
because they've got so many comics to pull from, and they're doing such a bad job.
I think the golden age of the MCU is done. Like the time when like we could anticipate a good movie when the MCU like film was coming and it would actually live up to expectations. Like that's no longer the case. And also,
Yeah.
do you guys feel like they'll ever address the ending of, because you were mentioning Eternals. The ending of Eternals is actually quite a big deal. Like it's
There's a hand sticking out of the earth.
yeah, like would they never address that? And the fact that the god actually, the original creator actually appeared, and millions of people witnessed this. Like, are they actually going to address that?
Details, bro. Details. Like, honestly, they're gonna pretend that movie doesn't exist, because obviously that movie had a cliffhanger as well, because for some reason Harry Styles was in it in the end credit scene, which I wish I could forget. So yeah, I think at that time they thought that they had a lot more movies in them, and they thought that they were gonna branch off into different areas and it was all gonna come together. Where I think they're gonna pretend like that movie didn't happen, because I don't think they can keep up with all these plots that they're kind of pulling together. So yeah. Because exactly, I mean, having a big hand out stick out of the earth is quite noticeable, and no one mentions it. It's just like